Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining the session. We'll be starting in a few minutes. Good evening, everyone. I'm Anushka from the Solar Labs, and today we'll be talking about the product updates that have been introduced in the software. So, last week, our team rolled out multiple updates and new features in the software, and most of you must have used these features and had a look at the new interface. But if you still haven't, you can just press Control plus Shift plus R on your homepage, and you'll be introduced to the new interface of the software. So before moving on, let's see what all features we have introduced today. So we have got multiple updates. First one being the detailed consumption profile. Uh, the team has introduced a detailed consumption profile so that you can specify what kind of consumption your site is having, what kind of a property it is. We'll be looking at that. Then we have the customized single line and 3-line diagram. We'll be having a look at how to generate those. And in the report section, we have got 2 new themes apart from the existing default theme. So you can choose 2 new templates for your report, whichever you find suitable. And we'll be testing those as well. The 3D view has had some changes. In the 3D view, we have a better, more visually pleasing 3D view. I'll be showing you that as well. The user interface has changed. It has become more organized, more detailed in nature, and it has become very much user friendly. Next new feature which we have here is the wire size calculator. So we'll be talking about that. And the pricing section and the incentives, there have been new addition. The incentive section and the pricing section has also been improvised. So in the session, I'll be giving you one demonstration where I'll be showing you all these new features. And after the demonstration, we'll be having a small question answer round so that you can clear up your queries. And if you have any questions in the middle of the session, you can just type them in the chat box, and we can answer them if they are relevant to that section, or if we'll be touching upon those topics in the coming time. So I'll wait for some time to answer your question. So let's move on to our demonstration. So this is the home page. As you can see, it has been changed. It has become very much organized, giving you all your settings right here on the left hand side, and the project list right here with a scroll bar. And you can search your projects. You were able to do that earlier as well. Now I'll just go and click on create new project. So this is your screen. The steps are similar. You just need to enter your location coordinates and press enter on your keyboard. So you will be transported directly to your site. Just make sure your entire site lies within this box, because once the project has been created and your site isn't entirely in the box, then the image will be cut out and you won't be able to design on it properly. And once the project has been created, it's not possible to change the site image from the map. Then there are other ways to do it. So the project name, I'll just give it as webinar demo for 12:05. And the client name, let's put it as webinar. So as you can see, the compulsory columns, categories have been marked with an asterisk. So this is new so that you can just identify what all details are compulsory in order to create a project. These 3 categories are not compulsory. If you have the details, you can put them in. Now, this is the share project button. If you enable this, all the people, all the users from your organization will be able to see your projects on their project list. And if you disable this, they won't be able to see those. So I'll just click on the create project button to create my new project. Okay, so my project has been created. Here is the option for the weather file. You have the facility to change the weather file. By default, it is taking meteornom file. You can upload your own file as well. The formats have been specified here. .csv, TM2 and TM3 formats. And you can upload your own file if you want to. Just put in these details. So we have selected our file, just save it. And next is the consumption. Excuse me. So the consumption, if I click on add consumption, we have the option to select our consumption profile. So in the consumption profile, we have two types of consumption profile, which is residential, and the next one is commercial. Even in the consumption profile types, you have different profiles. So if I just go on residential and click on profile, I've got 5 different types of profile, because even in residential, you have got different types of consumption profiles. So this is the nighttime focus. So with each consumption profile, you get a energy consumption pattern in the form of a graph and a description. So this is for the electricity consumption, which is mostly taking place at night. This is for retirees or working from home. So the most consumption is during the day hours. This is a single or 2-person household. And next is the family with infants or preschool children. And next is the family with school age children. So you can just select your profile, whichever is suitable for your project. If I go on the commercial profile and click on the profiles, I've got 4 different types of commercial profile. One is for the shopping hours. So this is assuming that the consumption is during 6 days a week. Next is the weekdays focused for 5 days, example offices, your banks, etc. Next is the evening focused consumption, where your 7 days a week, mainly the night evenings are power consuming. Next is the constant energy consumption, that is that the particular building consumes power throughout the week, 7 days a week. So for each and every profile, you have been given with examples so that you can identify which profile is the closest to your site. So I'll just select commercial profile and click on confirm. Once you have selected your profile, you just need to update it and it will be saved. So we'll come down to the metering and these values later on. Let's go back and add a design. So in the add new design, I'll just name it as design 1 only and click on confirm. So my design will get created here. As you can see, the image is the entire image which I selected, which was within the box. I've got this in the studio. Now on the format, the layout is same as it was earlier. In the model tools, you have got a extra model tool, which is called a pitch roof. So pitched roof is useful for the residential projects, residential buildings in the Western countries, in the US, etc. So this is useful for that. We'll just select a polygon tool and start drawing out from here. Start mapping it from here. So if you can see, once I've drawn this, you can see the yellow dotted lines. So these are the guidelines which have been added as an additional feature so that you can see whether you are going along your boundary or not. So if I just go about here, I'm getting an intersecting guideline as well. And this is done. So this makes it easier visually. I'll just modify the properties of my building. Parapet height and setback, and make this placeable and click on update. So you can see there are multiple structures, mumpties, vents. So we are going to draw them as well. I'll just select my polygon tool again. I'll press P on my keyboard and select my polygon tool. So the earlier feature which we had, which is the edges snapping, vertices snapping correctly at 90 degrees, it's still there. If you have made a mistake, you can always undo the entire thing. And go back. So I'll change the properties from here. make it placeable, and update it. For the parapet thickness, I'll just increase the parapet thickness of my main roof. Now if I go in the 3D view, so as you can see, the 3D view has been modified a little bit. Instead of having just the normal white surface, the entire image, the Google Maps image has been lifted up. And now you can get a more realistic view. If I've drawn the Mumti, I can see the Mumti being risen from this particular base of the roof. So I'll just go back in 2D and draw all my other structures as well. Go here and draw it. So once you have drawn your base polygon, you will get all the guidelines to tell you if you are going parallel to the sides or not. So these guidelines are very helpful. Okay, I'll just do this. Change the properties. Take it. There's one more Mumti. I'll draw this as well. I'll change my properties from here. So always remember to update your properties once you have changed them so that the changes can reflect. So we have got one more storage shed kind of thing here. I'll assume this is a storage shed. I'll draw this as well. Give this some height. Update. We've got multiple vents right here. So let's just draw them. I'll select my polygon tool again and draw these vents. Give this a height and update. So these are 3 more similar vents. So I'll just go ahead and press Ctrl C and Ctrl V. And even better, I'll press R on my keyboard to activate the repeat tool. And the repeat count has been activated now. So I'll just press 3 and I'll get 3 copies of my vent. So I can just, displace it from here and just put it here. So repeat tool is very useful when we are working with similar structures, repetitive structures, which are, if they are equidistant, even better. If they are not equidistant, somewhat equidistant, like in this case, so we can just move them. So we can just move them using our cursor. So there are these 3 smaller vents. Just draw them as well. And I'll click on update. For these 3, I haven't changed the height. I'll just go ahead and change my height. I'll just take this, press Ctrl C and Ctrl V, press R on my keyboard and click on 2. Okay, now we have this kind of pipe situation right here. So we'll just draw this out as well. I'll select my polygon tool and I'll start drawing my pipe. To zoom in a little bit. So these structures, as many structures as you're able to draw on the roof, that'll make your project more detailed, and that will give you a more accurate idea as to what simulations you're going to get. You can move the vertices if you don't feel they are in the right place. And I'll just change the height of this pipe and update it. So now I'm done with designing all my structures on the roof. I'll just go in the 3D view. And as you can see, all of these have been lifted up from the ground. So it gives a more realistic view to the entire thing property. Okay. We'll refresh once. Okay. So now I'll just click on my rooftop and click on fill face and change my properties from right here and give the azimuth in the southwest. I want a 2-row table, mount height as 3, and click on update. So once this has been updated, I'll click on save design and use my solar axis tool to see what all panels have lower efficiency. Okay, so we have a few red panels right here. I'll just go on the sub array and click on optimize. And if I move my slider, I'll be able to remove these low efficiency panels. I'll just close my optimize tool. So this being done, we have optimized our design. This is just for better resource utilization. I'll save this again. And I'll hide my solar axis. So I can delete my panels from here as well. I just don't need them in between these. So I'll just drag and select and delete it. So you need to drag a bigger area on the panels in order to select them. So I'm done with this. I'll save my design. And I have some space right here on this Monty. I'll click on fill face again. And just make the tilt and azimuth according to my requirement. Okay, and I'll save this. So once I'm done with all my panel placement, I'll just show it to you in 3D. So this is my how my panel placement looks like on the roof. Once I'm done, now we can insert the inverter. So on the left hand side in the components, I'll click on the inverter menu. And on the string inverters, just take up 200 kV kW inverter. Just put it here. And once I'm done, I'll press enter. So if I want to align my inverter with this ball, I'll just click on my polygon, see what the azimuth of this wall is. This is 40.63. Then I'll click on my inverter and make the azimuth as 40.63. Press enter. Now I can align to the wall. So in the 3D, this is how my inverter looks like. So you can place it anywhere, align it with any surface. Just you need to know the azimuth of the surface. After placing the inverter and saving the design, you have the calculate generation option come up right here. You can click on that and it will give you all your stats, all your parameters. So my annual generation is coming out to be 354 megawatt hours. The specific generation is as follows, and the performance ratio is 75.96%. So once I'm done with this, I can just go in the views in the line diagram. So I just now opened the line diagram and the pop-up has come as save wire size calculator. So we are coming on to the next feature, which is the wire size calculator. It's on the left hand side. If I click, you get the wire size calculator right here. So in this you have, if we go from the very beginning, we have the module specifications, we have which has been taken from the software, whichever module we have used. So all the details of that particular module and the dimensions. Inverter specifications, it has taken from the inverter which we have used. I'll select the operating voltage as say 240. And next is your site data, which is your weather data, which has been taken from the weather file which we have uploaded. I'll select my conduit height as 3.5 inches, suppose. And you can change this data as well if you have the very accurate knowledge. Next are our SLD connections. So this is your array to junction box connection. So the details which are highlighted in red need to be entered by you, or and the other details which are optional can be changed by you if you need something else, but the details in red need to be entered. Okay, so I'll just select my current carrying conductors, say 20 conductors, and you can select your conductor size here as well. Next is your junction box to inverter connection. For that, I'll select my conductors, say 5 conductors. You can select your size. It's in AWG, which is the American wire gauge. And your ground wire size is in 8 AWG. And then you have these toggle buttons, a lot of them. So you can just use them according to the connection, the circuit you're setting up on your property. So I'll just use the inverter to AC disconnect and use this 500 AWG is fine. And from the AC disconnect to interconnection, I'll just make it as number of connectors as 1. So once I'm done with entering all my details, all my required details, I can just save this entire calculator. And you have the option to download it as PDF as well. So you can get this entire sheet, and we'll go back in the studio. So once I'm done with this, you can open the line diagram. So here is your line diagram. Starting from the left, you have the strings with all the modules. Next, you have the junction box right here. Excuse me. From the junction box, you've got the inverter, and then you've got all your meters, which is in your ACDB. Everything has been specified. We took a 500 AWG wire, so it has been specified right here. So this is how your SLD will look like. And if you want the three, before moving on to that, you can change your string size as well. So if you want different string size, you can just click on the inverter. Here you have been given the strings and the modules per string. You can just go ahead and delete it and add whatever string size you want. And you have been provided with the string range as well on top right here, 11 to 18 modules. So you can do that. And click on update SLD, so it will be updated in your SLD as well. So if you want we have one more new feature which we have in the software is the 3-line diagram. If you just go and switch, you can just directly switch from the SLD to the 3LD, and you will get your 3LD right here with your all 3 lines. So we can just go back, and I'll just go back in the 2D view. So once we are done with all these, we can go back on our design summary page. So our design is complete in terms of all the components, in terms of panels, in terms of inserting an inverter, generating an SLD. So now we'll just go ahead and on the design summary page, as you can see, all this information has been updated, and you're getting your generation analysis as well. And here is the loss analysis. Next is the bill of materials. So the materials shown right now are the ones which we have used in our design, but there are several other materials which are used while installing a project. So we have given a list of most of them. So you can use these. to make your report more detailed. So I'll just select a lightning arrestor of ABC company, ABC make, whatever details, and 1 in quantity, and I'll add it. So this is just to show that this will get reflected in the report. Next is the pricing section. So I'll click on add pricing. I'll just add my pricing right here, say 50,000 rupees per kilowatt. You can do it in rupees as well, the entire pricing. Life as 25, tax as 12%, and make the discount rate as 0. And the maintenance costs, I'll let it be 0. So depreciation 1% for 25 years, and slab is 12%. So on the right hand side, you have the option to update calculation, and click on that, and I'll get my total cost of my project. And if you just see, we have these multiple payment options, in here. And earlier we had only cash payment. So all the calculations were done according to cash payment, but you have 3 more options now, which is the loan with a PPA and the lease. So if I select loan and I select a template, you have been given a lot, some sample templates. You can select which one suits you, whichever suits you the best. And similarly for PPA, you've been given some sample templates. And for the lease as well, we have been given some sample templates. So if your particular loan or lease system is not in the samples, you can also add it on your own. So I'll just add my pricing in the cash payment only right now. And how you can do that is, you just go on the organization settings, manage financials, and you're getting all these options for loan, PP, and lease. So you can just click on add loan, and you can enter the name, the project type, loan type, and all these details, and click on add loan, and you'll have your own template right there. Similarly for PPA, you can just add your PPA with all these details, and the same case goes for lease. So you have the freedom, you have these existing samples, you have the freedom to add your own template for these payment options. Okay. So this was a new feature, one more feature. So below the pricing, we have got the incentives. So the incentives are right here. You have got multiple incentives. This is used for your subsidies. So you can just add the incentives. You can create the incentives as well. So once we are done with adding our pricing, we'll just go ahead and add our consumption details. We'll go in the project summary and click on add consumption. And I've selected my consumption profile already. Next is the metering. So I'll just go ahead and add the price per kilowatt hour, and tariff escalation as 2. And once I've entered it, I'll click on update. Now for the consumption profile, I'll just select the average monthly consumption and enter my value. So once you're done with this, we'll click on update. And your entire consumption details are complete. So I will go back on the project summary page and click on the design again. And once I go in the pricing, I have my payback and all these other parameters calculated. So now once we are done with our design, our consumption details, and our pricing details, we can go ahead and download the report. So if I go in the download design, I have the option, 4 options right here to download report, to download the CAD layout, generation CSV, and the wire size calculator. So I'll click on download report. So as you can see, the modified user interface, it has become even more convenient to customize the report. As we can see, all the pages are right here at one place instead of scrolling through the pages. So we can just select or deselect whatever pages we want from just this list itself. And on top, we have got the option to select template. So we have 3 templates right here, which is the default, theme 2 and theme 3. So in the theme 2, you have for these 2 new templates, we have given samples. So we can just click on the samples and a sample report will be generated in front of you. So this is your report for one of the sample sites. And this is how the report will be looking like. And similarly for theme 3, we can just view sample. And this is how the report will be looking like. So 2 new very attractive report template options as well. So you can choose any one of these 3. If you are comfortable, if you like the default option, you can go with that. Or if you want a newer option, you can select the theme 2 or theme 3. So even in these, so we'll just select go for theme 2. You also have the option to select the orientation, landscape or portrait. We'll go with landscape. So even with the new themes, you have got the option to change the color scheme. So at times we don't like the color scheme, the existing color scheme which is there. So we are just going, you can just change your color scheme from here in both the new themes as well. With the primary, secondary and tertiary color, you can put it according to your requirement. In the next section, we have the data for 3D model. So we have enabled both generation and financials. And next is a time consideration for shadow analysis. So right now the start time is 9 and time is 4. You can change it by clicking on this clock symbol. Make it 10 to 5, make it 10 to 4, whatever time you consider for your shadow analysis. So once we are done with all these customization or selecting all our requirements, so we'll just click on export and this will download our report. So the report is downloading. And in the report, you'll be able to see that all the values are being included as they were in the previous template. So it's just a change in presentation way of presentation. So we'll just go through the report very quickly. Our first page is same. The format is pretty similar. Just your project name, project capacity, and your location coordinates, and the link for the 3D model. This is your design right here, and your client name on the bottom left, and your generation date time with the logo. Next are your system metrics. Your company logo will appear right here. Your system metrics, the performance ratio, annual production, specific generation, your weather data set format, and all these other details are given right here. Next are the estimated savings page, where you are given the total savings for the next 25 years for along with the payback period and the IRR. And all of this has been represented graphically. On the next page, we have the components. So as you can see, all the components which we have used in the design have been mentioned right here. So there is one lightning arrestor as well, which we mentioned later on, which is not in our design in the software, but we are willing to use it afterwards. Next is the monthly production. So the monthly production has been given with the average and the yearly degradation rate, all of this represented graphically. Next are the monthly savings. So this is a description has also been given. These are the savings for each month during the first year. Next is the monthly table with these various parameters. And the field segments, whatever we have used 2 field segments on our in our project on our site. So they have been given with the module count, and the power. Next are the shadow analysis. So in the shadow analysis, it is given for June 21st on the first page, which is from 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. And the next page, we have the December 21st, which is the winter solstice, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. shadow analysis. And we are also being given the conclusion that 99.74% of the solar time are shadows, our panels are shadow free. Next is the heat map and the solar axis. So the solar axis is similar to what we saw in the software. In the heat map, it is showing you the areas which are receiving a lot of heat relatively, and the areas which are relatively cooler. So the cooler areas are being shown with a purplish hue, and with the areas with the heat are being shown in the greenish tint. So the cooler areas, as you can see, are mostly lying near the boundaries of all these structures. Next page, we have the losses, the radiation and DC and AC loss. Next page is the cost of not going solar. This might be of interest to the client, to your client, because this is a comparative analysis of bill with solar, which is represented in gray, and bill without solar, which is represented in blue. So this is showing the difference between the two of them, and the difference between the two of them will be giving your client their savings for the next 25 years. Next is impact on the environment page. So impact on environment page gives your client values, specific values as to how they are contributing towards reducing global warming, and through standard calculations. So the clients who are majorly focused on going green, whose major objective is to go green by installing solar, will show a lot of interest on this page. We have got various parameters here as well. Acres of forest, coal burn avoided, and the carbon dioxide offset. On the last, we have the thank you page, where you have your company logo and the contact details of your company. On each page, you have the client name. On the top right, you have your company logo. I'll just go back. So this was our report, and just going back in the design studio. So that was all for the presentation, for the demonstration portion. You can ask questions if you have any. You can type your questions in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask the questions. So we have a question right here. DC cable quantity can be get as per layout. So are you referring to the length of the DC cable? I don't think they are in this meeting any longer. So, and does anybody else have any other question regarding the new features, regarding anything else, regarding the designing portion, or if they have any other query? You can unmute yourself and ask. So while you think about your questions, I would like to just remind you that we have this help icon right here, where you have the list of all the shortcuts which I use today, and more, and even some extra ones. And you have your chat icon, where you can just ping us, put up a message if you are facing any query, and me or my team will take up your query and help you out, help you to sort it out. So we'll wait for a few more minutes. If you have any query, you can address it, so that we can address it right now.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the same question, that is DC cable quantity, can we get this DC cable quantity from this layout?
Are you referring to the length of the DC cable?
Yes.
No, so length of the cable cannot be obtained right now. So that is a pretty complicated procedure, very circuit dependent. So right now we don't have the provision in the software to get the length of the cable.
Okay. And the next I have a actually you want to know the what is the fundamental for this heat map. What kind of heat is talking about here?
So in the heat map, if I just refresh it. Okay, so in the heat map is actually what we are referring to is where the sunlight is falling in a lot of quantity. So as you can see that this is color coded entirely. So this will go on from your blue till the green or the yellowish region. So as you can see that these elevated structures like this Mumty right here is having greenish tinge to it. So that means it is receiving a lot of sunlight. Similarly, for these open areas right here, which are not nearby to any structures. Whereas on these structures, like on the boundary, as you can see, because of the shadow, these are relatively cooler. They are not receiving a more they're receiving less sunlight as compared to the other areas. That's why they are bluish or
Light.
purplish light.
So the solar axis, from the solar axis we just understood the so sunlight where it is receiving or not. From
I'm
solar
sorry.
axis,
Hmm.
hello, from solar
Yeah.
axis we just estimate the irradiance in the in that particular area. So what is the
From solar
difference
axis,
between that?
no. Okay, I got your point. So the
Yeah.
heat map is actually telling you the areas which are receiving good amount of sunlight on the surface of your roof. As you can see, it is on the surface, right?
Okay.
And in the solar axis, if I refresh my solar axis, so my solar axis is showing me that how much like efficient, how much heat each of my panel is receiving throughout the year, averaged over the year. So how much solar access they are getting, how much access to sunlight they are getting throughout the year.
Okay, one is for module
Yeah,
aspect
the
and
other one
another
is
is
for
for
the
area,
surface. Yeah,
surface area aspect. So there is no
right.
through heat map there is no fundamental of heat, any kind of heat thought.
So heat map is kind of, a guideline as to where you should be
Estimate the
placing your panels. Like you would want your panels to be in an area where most of the sunlight is there, right? So heat map can guide you to through that. So since we have, but you can modify the amount of sunlight your panels are receiving by modifying their properties. So since my panels, I had given them a good mount height, so that's why they're receiving good amount of sunlight throughout the entire rooftop.
Okay, okay, now I got it.
Okay. Any other question? You can type your question in the chat box, or you can just unmute yourself and we'll address your question. So while you think about your questions, I'll just go ahead and show you one more thing, that in the organization settings, like we had the manage financials, you can just click on manage incentives right here, and you have the sample incentives, a list of those. You can search or you can create your own incentive right here. Select your currency and you'll be able to create your own incentives from here as well. So that's how you can create your own financials, your own incentives, and have a very detailed report and proposal. So I think there are no more
Hello?
questions. Yeah,
Yeah, I have another question.
sure, sure.
Can you please show one that is there is a option, I think, for default profile, sorry, profile designing का कुछ option पहले
Okay,
इसमें
okay,
था.
okay. Sure. So in the organization settings, you have the organization profile, and here you have the design default. So if you, this is your default profile, okay?
Okay.
And if you just want, you have some standards of designing, you can just click on create design profile, and you can adjust all your parameters, the losses, the report, and so that you don't need to again and again change the properties for these.
Okay, after creating that customized design, where can I put this thing?
Okay, so once you are done with all of this, you have selected everything, you can just save it. Then it'll appear in this list right here below
Okay.
the default profile. So if I just go ahead and create a profile name ABC, I'll just, I won't change any settings right now. I'll just save it. So you're
Okay.
getting this, you got this ABC profile right here.
Okay.
And you can just go
Now
back.
when I
Sure,
want to
I'll tell you. So in the project summary page, if you go for add new design, you can just select your profile from right.
okay, from here I can select this.
Yes.
Okay, then one design I can select for different profiles.
Yes,
Right?
yes. You can select a profile for each and every one of your design.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. Any more questions? So if there isn't any more other question, so let's end this session. So before ending, I'll just again remind you, if you have any other query, if you just, I would want you all to try these new updates in the design, to try all these new features. And if you face any problem while trying these out, if you have any other query, you can just ping us up in the chat box. We'll take up your query, help you resolve it. And I hope you all like these features. If you have feedback for us while using these features, feedbacks are most welcome. So it will help us improvise ourselves. And so thank you so much for attending this session. I hope you all got to know about the features a lot more. And if you want any more sessions to be conducted on any specific topic, so you can just tell us the topics in the chat box itself. Thank you so much. Thank you for attending the session. Have a nice day.